Now, following the capture of Maduro over the weekend and the end of his horrific regime, the question remains, who will succeed the brutal dictator and bring much-needed change and freedom to the country? One name making headlines is Venezuela's opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado. Remember, she rose to prominence after winning the independently run opposition presidential primary with more than 92% of the vote before Maduro then dictated that she be taken off the ballot. Now, that was only back in 2023. In the hours following the successful raid and the arrest of Maduro, Machado posted on X saying, quote, "Venezuelans, the hour of freedom has arrived." Now, remember, upon winning the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize, Maria dedicated that prize and award to President Trump. She said on X, quote, in part, "I dedicate this prize to the suffering people of Venezuela and to President Trump for his decisive support of our cause." But that is far from the only praise she has given President Trump. Now, following his decisive victory against Kamala Harris, she congratulated the president, promised that the rightful democratic government of Venezuela would be a reliable ally to the U.S. Now, she was also quick to thank President Trump for his, quote, firmness and determination in upholding the law after Maduro was ousted. In fact, since he won in November of 2024, Maria Corina Machado has thanked President Trump and his support and commended his resolve to help the people of Venezuela many, many times, publicly and on X and elsewhere. She joins us now for an exclusive interview. Maria, it's good to see you again. How are you?
I'm fine, and I want to thank you, Sean, you personally and Fox News for the incredible support you have given throughout all this long journey for the cause of democracy of our people in Venezuela.
Let's go back to 2023. You won 92% of the vote to be the opposition leader. Maduro prevented you from being on the ballot. How was he able to do that?
Well, because they absolutely control the judiciary system and also the electoral council. So it was a miracle. Everybody told us it was impossible to carry independent elections in a primary process. And we were able to bring the country together to carry these elections organized by civil society with millions of people participating. And the fact is that cowardly, he feared us, he feared me, Maduro, so he thought that by banning me, he would stop us from winning. But exactly the opposite happened. Edmundo González Urrutia standing in my place, and we moved all around the country and managed to bring a country together and defeated Maduro by a landslide with incredible under extreme conditions, unfair conditions, Sean.
Well, that was the person that replaced you and that you're very close to. But let me go back and talk about it. You stayed in the country, but you were hiding within your country until you went to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. And I want you to tell us, you never went back at that point. Did you not go back because you feared for your life? And tell us, I mean, it's not very usual that people will dedicate the Nobel Peace Prize to the leader of a different country and say publicly, he deserves this more than I do. But you did that.
Let me be very clear. As soon as I learned that we had been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, I dedicated to President Trump because I believed at that point that he deserved it. And a lot of people, most people said it was impossible to achieve what he has just done on Saturday, January 3rd. So if I believed he deserved it on October, imagine now. I think he has proven to the world what he means. I mean, January 3rd will go down in history as the day justice defeated a tyranny. It's a milestone, and it's not only huge for the Venezuelan people and our future, I think it's a huge step for humanity, for freedom and human dignity.
Have you spoken with President Trump since then?
I spoke with President Trump on October 10th, the same day the prize was announced. Not since then, but I do want to say today, on behalf of the Venezuelan people, how grateful we are for his courageous vision, the actions, historical actions he has taken against this narco-terrorist regime to start dismantling this structure and bringing Maduro to justice, which means that 30 million Venezuelans are now closer to freedom, but also that the United States of America is a safer country nowadays.
Right. Did you at any point offer to give him the Nobel Peace Prize? Did that actually happen? I had read that somewhere. I wasn't sure if it was true.
Well, it hasn't happened yet, but I certainly would love to be able to personally tell him that we believe the Venezuelan people, because this is a prize of the Venezuelan people, certainly want to give it to him and share it with him. What he has done, as I said, is historic. It's a huge step towards a democratic transition. And I want to convey this to the American people, Sean. A free Venezuela means, first, a security ally, dismantling the criminal hub of the Americas and turning it into a security shield. You know, the strongest ally to dismantle all these criminal structures that have made, so much damage and harm to our people and to the American people as well. Secondly, we will turn Venezuela into the energy hub of the Americas. We will bring rule of law. We will open markets. We will give security to foreign investment. And third, we will bring millions of Venezuelans that have been forced to flee our country back home, to build a strong nation, prosperous nations, open society. We will leave behind all the destruction this socialist regime, criminal regime has brought to our people and turn Venezuela into the main ally of the United States in Latin America.
You also offered reparations to Lake and Riley's family and other families that have lost loved ones because of Tren de Aragua. Now the question is, when do you believe that you might make your return to Venezuela? Do you feel safe in doing so? And when you get back, obviously there has got to be stability. And I would assume, and the president has said at the right point, when there's security, that in fact the Venezuelan people then will govern themselves. Are you okay with that transitional plan?
Well, first of all, I'm planning to go back to Venezuela as soon as possible. As I've always said, Sean, every day I make a decision where I am more useful for a cause. That's why I stayed in hiding for over 16 months, and that's why I decided to go out, because I believed that at this moment I'm more useful to our cause, being able to speak out from where I am right now. But I'm planning to go as soon as possible back home. Secondly, what we're seeing right now in the last 24 hours is really alarming. We're seeing an escalation. Just today, an executive order signed by Maduro the same day he was ousted and he was detained. Imagine that, of external commotion has been published. And it mandates persecution and detention of every Venezuelan that supports President Trump's actions. Just today, 14 journalists have been detained. So this is very alarming. This is something that has to be followed carefully, I'm sure, by the United States government and by the Venezuelan people. And certainly we believe that this transition should move forward. Delcy Rodriguez, as you know, is one of the main architects of torture, persecution, corruption, narco trafficking. She's the main ally and liaison with Russia, China, Iran. Certainly not an individual that could be, trusted by international investors, and she's really rejected, repudiated by the Venezuelan people. So we move forward, and as you mentioned, and we won an election by a landslide under fraudulent conditions. In free and fair elections, we will win by over 90% of the votes. I have no doubt about it.
Maria Corina Machado, thank you. Godspeed. Please be safe.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.